All right, now the truth is coming out about Carson Beck and Georgia in the 2024 season. This is what Kirby Smart said on Wednesday. He said he sets the tone, talking about Carson Beck. He watched a lot of quarterbacks before him go through a lot of things. He's a leader in that meeting room, he's a leader on the field. To have him back, it just creates a lot of confidence and a lot of energy for our room. And he said this at the press conference today. Ryan, go ahead.
He said that they felt good this whole time that Carson was going to come back. And what he alluded to when he was talking to was just development and knowing that Carson wants to get better. Well, what's an easy way to get better? It's sticking around at Georgia, playing another year. I would say, and this is coming from me, this is not Kirby, being honest with yourself that you probably need more developing. I think Carson Beck was great this year. I think he was a very good quarterback for Georgia. But at the end of the day, in the last 4 years, he's played 13 football games. Jumping to the NFL after that is tough, and making an NFL roster after that is tough. So returning, being the guy, I mean, they're going to center this offense around him next year. It's going to be centered around Carson Beck. What they talked about in this press conference today, we need more weapons for him. Again, Kirby believes they're thin at receiver. They probably are in a way, right? And we know that they're going to get two guys in this class, and then you add in the Vanderbilt transfer.
Right.
So they're adding three guys. Still no word on if they're losing a couple of receivers.
Yeah.
So I still don't think we know about Lad McConkey and Marcus Hosmer-Jack Saint.
So just to be clear, Lad has time remaining. He's not. He's considered a junior if my math is right. And then Marcus Hosmer-Jack Saint still has a COVID year that he could use, as does Kendall Milton, Edwards, Brinson. I think Stackhouse has a COVID year. As I'm just going to do the whole list: Lindbergh, Van Pran, Ratledge, McConkey, Smith, Beck. Although Beck, Smith, McConkey,
I think shouldn't
Ratledge, Van
everyone
Pran,
at this
Lindbergh
point
are all juniors anyway. So, like Milton played a little bit in 2020, but nonetheless, getting back to the Carson Beck thing, I feel like we have a pretty good beat on the Carson Beck world, and I think that I'm not surprised he came back. I agree with what you said about being honest with yourself. I think that a season, December of 2024, we will be. Georgia will be getting ready to play its first playoff game, or maybe getting ready to get ready for Christmas.
Depends. It could have a bye.
Yeah, they could have a bye. I mean, they're going to be in the
playoff
playoff
game. A year from now, though, I think is the 20th might be one of the dates.
So I can't. Do we know that yet? How are we in this?
Oh yeah, that's out. That's out there.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you look that up while I'm rambling real quick? Because when I look it up, I'm not real good with talking and rambling. But I think the thing with the return of Carson Beck, which we talked about on Dawg Post, and look, I think, hey, just real quick, by the way, too, our friends at EcoPoly are awesome, but make sure you're signing up for our newsletter. It's right down below, because so much of this stuff we write about and talk about and drop knowledge on the message board about, if you're not signed up to our newsletter, you're not going to get that. The link is right down there below. But the return of Carson gives you a lot of options. We don't know what the future, and tell me when you've got those dates, by the way.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So 2024, there will be one game that's on December 20th, which will be a Friday. So they'll do the first round. There'll be 4 games. They're going to do one on that Friday night, and then Saturday they're going to do a triple header.
Okay.
So that'll be your first round. Those are your campus games.
Correct. So Georgia could very well be. Well, they're not going to. My suspicion, Ryan, is that they're not going to travel. Okay. Georgia very rarely has not been a top 8 school. Yeah. So in this case, it would be the 5, 6, 7, 8 would all host. It would be odd to me, but possible next year that they wouldn't be a top 8. If you're top 8, you're hosting, and then after that, there's nothing to talk about. They also could be a top 4. But there will only be one SEC top 4. Now, who will that person be? I don't know. But the other, let's just say Bama, Georgia, Texas, 2 of those 3 are going to be hosting on. I mean, they're not going to put Georgia on a Friday night. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're not going to put an SEC team on a Friday night. They're going to want that money, and they're going to want those on Saturdays. So Carson Beck and company right now, as the calendar falls right now, you would have signing day, if I'm not mistaken, the Wednesday or 2 days before home playoff games or away playoff games. So 8 teams will be getting ready for their life, winning the national championship, and they got to sign players. That's just nuts. But that's another video. But for getting Carson back, I mean, Kirby talking about, we felt good about it. I was unaware of a time at which anyone was buzzing that Carson was leaving. So there's that. But his return, I think, Ryan, gives Georgia the capability, A, of winning the league, the national championship as well. It gives them a lot of confidence moving into the season where they have 3 challenging road games for sure with the Rebels, Bama, and Texas. Nevertheless,
all 4 of those teams might be in the playoff next year.
They probably should. Well, I don't know about Ole Miss, but they probably should be in, Georgia, Bama, Texas should probably be in the playoff. Ole Miss certainly could be. But, they still deal with neutrals against the Gators and Clemson, and then they host, Auburn. And what will happen with Georgia Tech? And they also host Tennessee. So there's a lot of games out there for Georgia to build up its resume. And Carson Beck, I'm going to throw it to you right now. Carson Beck matters a lot. He was extremely productive. And my suspicion is, under Mike Bobo, quarterbacks who have gotten their second year, Matthew Stafford in 2017, Aaron Murray in 2011, those have been noticeable jumps in their second year as starters under Mike Bobo.
Yeah, and I think if you kind of just look across football and just more college football history, especially that second year with a coordinator, the second year of that relationship, the second year you're starting at a place matters. Joe Burrow,
Stetson
Bennett. You want to throw examples like that out there? The jump is out there, and I would expect Carson. Maybe it's not significant, but I would expect him to be better in 2024. And we're talking about someone who was one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. He was one of the 10 best quarterbacks in college football this year. I mean, he was. If the Georgia Tech and Alabama game are played differently, he's a Heisman finalist. We might not be talking about him coming back. I mean, I don't know. When Kirby wasn't super specific about, we knew this whole time. I think he's probably more specific about the last month.
Yeah.
In talking about that, but we're talking about a guy that would get drafted, not late, because there aren't that many quarterbacks especially with people deciding they're going to come back, like Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders.
Have they both announced that they're coming back?
No, but it seems that way. Right. It seems that way. That's not official. When you talk about that, I mean, we're talking about Carson could have been like a 2nd or 3rd round pick in this draft.
Correct. Oh, I think he would. I don't think. A 4th round. I mean, like that seems kind of low to me for him. But I mean, I'm not an NFL GM or a coach.
No, I don't know what the scouts and all told him. I mean, who knows what those conversations were?
But even if you get word that you're late first, that means you're probably not first. I mean, that's what I would get bothered by with all of that stuff. There's so much going on all at once. I mean, but if people who are critical of NIL, I just am not in that space, but let's just say you are. NIL is bringing Carson Beck back. It would have brought Herschel Walker back, frankly, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what the story was on that deal, but he left because there was no NIL for Herschel to deal with. I don't think Herschel really wanted to leave, but he did, and I mean, that worked out really well for Herschel Walker. But in this case, I think returning for Carson is the best scenario for Carson, frankly. It benefits Georgia a lot, but I think it's going to benefit Carson a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely benefits Georgia. I think there are still a ton of guys that we're not 100% sure about whether they're going to the NFL or not.
Say a few.
Bullard, Lassiter.
I think Lassiter will leave, but he's not
announced too, just because he has first-round potential.
Yeah, but I think he will leave.
But we don't know. I mean, we still don't know about Ladd McConkey. We still don't know about Marcus Rosers-Jackson. We really don't know about the 2 running backs, do we?
We don't know. I think what happens after a while is, Well, first of all, my global view of this is there's a lot more guys coming back than people kind of thought. That's what it sort of feels like in the world that I can keep a pulse of. I don't know specifics though. I mean, we have to be. We're trying to be honest with y'all. It does us no good to just like make stuff up.
Georgia, hey, look, Georgia football is a secretive place. Like,
I know it is, but it's
that's
not
that's
so
what
secret.
people need to realize. Like that's a secretive thing. We really don't know on some of these guys.
Some of these guys we definitely don't, because I think a lot of guys have probably made their decision. They've told Kirby what's going on, and that's where we're at. But if you're adding 28 guys, now we know Georgia's going to add 29. So here's the math. All right, you were at 86, I believe, because of a COVID year for Walthour. You were at 86 coming into this deal, all right? And we're just going to do the math real quick. I know this is a Carson Beck video, but now we know that they have had 16 guys transfer out. That leaves you at 70, okay? And they have just added 28 signees plus one transfer in. That's 99 players, okay? You got to get to 85. Did I do that math wrong?
Yeah.
Right? We know that 9 seniors are gone. So that gets you to 90. So there are 5 more people that are going to have to shuffle out. Okay, I can think of one. That would be Brock Bowers. All right. After that, so that gets you to 89. And by the way, if COVID people come back, then they don't count. So there is play here amongst this group. But the plus or minus, like some opinion poll, is around 4. So, go ahead.
So this would be Carson's COVID year?
No,
because
it would not be his. It would not. Hold on, Ryan. It would not be Carson Beck's COVID year. He could still come back another year after that.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
It would be Milton Edwards and Rosemary Jack Saint. Milton Edwards, Rosemary Jack Saint, and Brinson and Stackhouse. By my math now. Someone at Georgia can correct me by texting me, but by my math, there's 5 guys that can come back and there's no penalty there. Okay. So you can
None
be
of those
over
guys
the number.
redshirted.
Say that again.
None of those guys redshirted. Essentially, is what you're saying.
By my math over here, I'm not turning the camera because I never can get it back the right way. I will. Here.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Ready? There. There's the I don't want the dadgum computer to fall off. There's everything. So that's how I know. Whenever I'm looking over there, that's what it is. And I'm making sure what I'm saying to y'all is not crazy. So that's kind of where we're at with things as far as all of it's concerned. But my numbers they were very, very fast math. I can assure you who knows exactly. And this is why I don't really write articles about this. The people at Georgia know they've never been over 85 when they're not allowed to be. They're never, it's what it is. Now, he was talking today about adding a fourth scholarship quarterback, the possibility of that. I mean, they had 3 scholarship guys last year. I don't think they have to have a fourth. They don't have to.
No, but they want a fourth. They want 4. They have a quota. They have a quota that they want to hit for certain position rooms, and for the quarterback, it's 4. It's what they had in 22.
Correct. So, and people say, well, why do you need the 4th quarterback? Well, first of all, these guys throw a lot of balls, okay? And they just do. And some guys, I think Fromm had some soreness at times where he didn't throw, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely, I remember back in the day, Joe Cox, that was the case. These guys throw a lot of footballs, okay? And so that's another thing that's important. Or was it Stetson that didn't throw? Am I thinking of Fromm and it was Stetson? Can you recall?
When?
Huh?
When? I would have to know roughly when you're talking about.
One of the 2 of those guys had it where
I don't remember that being a thing with Stetson.
I think I said Fromm at the beginning for a reason. But I could be wrong about that. And I don't think anybody really cares right now but I know, like with Joe Cox, for sure that was a thing. And, so they've got reasons. Like Kirby and them are extremely numerically oriented. They're data driven. They believe in particular things. And I do think if you can get another scholarship guy, that'd be good. I mean, there's no telling what kind of disaster can happen to your quarterback room. Florida State's a great example. They were playing the ACC championship game with.
Is Georgia not a great example? 2020, man, you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, that's completely true.
They
Yeah.
know that the disaster can happen to them too.
They started 3 different quarterbacks. And one guy was the presumed starter, and he checked out before the season. So they had 4 guys. They had 4 guys. That was insanity.
Jamie Newman, Georgia legend, Jamie Newman.
That whole fall, that was the second worst. That was the second worst season that I've ever covered Georgia. Was COVID year, and it wasn't because of the quarterbacks. I mean, it was just chaotic. You couldn't tell left from right. It was insane, and they had a great win at the end of the year, but they won't have to worry about that this coming season with Carson Beck coming back. I do think that they knew because they were getting an NIL deal worked out for the guy, and that's the reason he returned, and that's probably why Georgia will be. I don't know if they're going to be the betting favorite coming into it. It'll be them or Bama or Michigan. Well, it'll be them or Bama or Texas, I would think. Maybe not Michigan, but it's going to be that 4. And Ohio State will enter into it to some degree. I don't know what the Noles are going to do at quarterback. They got to do something.
They're getting the Washington State kid, Cam Ward.
Okay, so DJ Uiagalelei is going to have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
There are spots out there.
I mean, Clemson's available, aren't they? Or are they not available? I mean, is that too soon?
DJU part 2.
Huh?
Turn.
What year is the quarterback at Tech?
He has more time. He probably has at least one more year of eligibility after this. Well, I think he's a 21.
I don't have to place people, but
yeah, I think he was in the 21 class.
It has been, Carson Beck's return to Georgia gives you stability, and then you let Puglisi and Gunner fight it out. The year after that, or whoever else is remaining. I mean, there are no certainties at Georgia. You want to be the quarterback, you're going to have to fight it out and go get it. Carson Beck did that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.